Other children, equally dear, may grow to stalwart manhood and gracious womanhood, but that face rises to immortality in a world of endless change. No single cry, no weak clasp of baby fingers is ever forgotten. Through all the years unchanging, and taking on new beauty with every fleeting day, the little face is still before her, and thus, in a way, death brings her a blessing, for when the others have grown, she has it still, the child upon her breast. Love's best gifts are not to be taken away. Tender memories must always be inwoven with the sad, and the sympathy and unselfishness which great loves ever bring are left to make sweet the nature of one who is chastened by sorrow. Grief itself never stings. It is the accusing conscience which turns the dagger remorselessly in the heart. Life, after all, is a masquerade. We fear to show our tenderness and our love. We habitually hide our best feelings, lest we be judged weak and emotional, and unfit for the age in which it is our privilege to move. Sometimes it needs death to show us ourselves, and to teach our friends our deep and unsuspected kindness. The woman who hungers throughout her marriage for the daily expression of her husband's love often looks longingly towards the day to come when hot tears will fall upon her upturned face, and that for which she has vainly thirsted will be laid upon her silent lips. But swiftly upon the vision comes the thought that even so it would be of short duration, that the newly awakened love would soon be the portion of someone else. It would be a beautiful world indeed if we were not at such pains to hide our real selves, if all our kindly thoughts were spoken and all our generous deeds were done. No one of us would think of death as our best friend if we were not also bitterly unkind. Yet we put into white fingers the roses for which the living might have pleaded in vain, and too often, with streaming eyes, we ask pardon of the dead. Atonement is not to be made thus. A costly monument in a public square is tardy appreciation of a genius whose generation refused him bread. A man's tears upon a woman's hands are not enough, when all her life she has prayed for his love. There is no law so unrelenting as that of compensation. Gravitation itself may be more successfully defied. It is the one thing which is absolutely just, and which is universal in its action, though sometimes as slow as the majestic forces which change rock to dust. We cannot have more joy than we give, nor more pain. The eternal balance swings true. The capacity for enjoyment and the capacity for suffering are one and the same. He who lives out of reach of sorrow has sacrificed his possible ecstasy. He has seen only half the universe who has not been shown the house of pain. And yet the compensations of calamity are made apparent to the understanding also after long intervals of time. A fever, a mutilation, a cruel disappointment, a loss of friends, seems at the moment unpaid loss and unpayable. But the sure years reveal the deep remedial force that underlies all facts. The death of a dear friend, wife, brother, lover, which seemed nothing but privation, somewhat later assumes the aspect of a guide or genius, for it commonly operates revolutions in our way of life, terminating an epoch of infancy or youth which was waiting to be closed, breaks up a wonted occupation or a household or style of living, and allows the formation of new ones more friendly to the growth of character. It permits or constrains the formation of new acquaintances, and the reception of new influences that prove of the first importance to the next years, and the man or woman who would have remained a sunny garden flower, with no room for its roots and too much sunshine for its head, by the falling of the walls and the neglect of the gardener, is made the banyan of the forest, yielding shade and fruit to wide neighborhoods of men. That life alone is worth the living which sets itself upon the upland ways. To steel one's self against joy is to be spared the inevitable hurt, is not life. We are afraid of love, because the might and terror of it has sometimes brought despair. We are afraid of belief, because our trust has been betrayed. We are afraid of death, because we have seen forgetfulness. We should not fear that someone might take our place in the heart that loves us best, if we were only loved enough. The same love is never given twice. It differs in quality, if not in degree, and when once made one's own, is never to be lost. There are some natures whose happiness is a matter of persons and things, some to love and some to be loved, the daily needs amply satisfied, and that is enough for content. There are others with whom persons and things do not suffice, whose love is vital, elemental, and indestructible. It has no beginning and no end. It simply is. With this the gray angel has no power. The grave is robbed of its victory, and death of its sting. Love never denied death, and death will not deny love. When the bond is of that finer sort which does not rely upon presence for its permanence, there is little bereavement to be felt, for mutely, like a guardian angel, that other may live with us still, not as a shadowy presence, but rather as a dear reality. That little mound of earth upon the distant hill, over which the sun and stars passed in endless sequence, and where the quiet is unbroken through the change of spring to autumn, and the change of autumn to spring, has not the power to destroy love, but rather to make it more sure. The one who sleeps is forever beyond the reach of doubt and misunderstanding. Separation, estrangement, and bitterness, which are sometimes concealed in the cup that life and love have given, are forever taken out by death, who is never cruel, and who is often